Hello, this is Bryant Myers, and welcome to another edition of Debunking Flat Earth. In this edition on Exposing Jeran, we are going to go through what Jeran thinks is a big proof that Artemis is fake, and I am going to show you most definitely that it's not. But the title Exposing Jeran is going to even go deeper than that, because we're going to expose more of his character as well and how he deals with Brenda debates. And I want to just play this little clip for you because it's going to kind of set the whole video up. So just watch it. There's a little abusive language that's used, just kind of a little forewarning. But I think that it will really help to drive the point home that what Jaren is saying is out of desperation.
So you can see this, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if this little light here, which is the Earth, okay, if in one frame this craft completely disappears but the Earth stays there, what would that tell you?
Nothing.
Then you're a stupid idiot. How about
Why?
that? Because it's impossible. It's impossible. Watch this.
What's impossible?
It's impossible for the craft to disappear. It's not that it's in shadow, it's gone. See that? Now, we ran this through photo forensics. We ran it through my video editor. There's nothing there, period. Nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So
why is the Earth different?
It's the same. What do you mean? Right here? Watch.
No,
Play.
it's very different.
I don't know why it's different. It's faked. What the hell am I going to tell you why it's fake?
It's overexposed here, and then in the latter
Gone.
ones, it changes. Why does it change?
Hell if I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well,
how to account
your incredulity.
that doesn't-
Your
yes.
incredulity. So what are you saying? Hold on a second. How does the sun disappear in one fucking frame, Brenda? Explain.
The sun isn't in the frame.
The sun's
What are you
behind
talking
us.
about?
The sun's behind us.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's in shadow. Maybe
What's
it
in
rotated
shadow?
A little bit. Maybe the craft is in shadow.
How would it be in shadow in one frame?
From itself.
How would that happen in one frame? What came over? What caused a shadow in one fucking frame, you dumb bitch?
The videos aren't always
now the
sequential.
videos.
Well, you know, they can slow it down and speed it up, and
It's
they're
not that
actually
they
using
slow
a
it down.
compositing, and it's an impersonal incredulity.
Keep going.
Right? So I don't know why this thing happened.
Yeah, I do. It's
But
faked.
you don't know that.
I do know
It's
that.
claimed, but you don't have any evidence for it.
This is the evidence. What the fuck do you want? I
That's
can't
the
go up
thing
to
we're
space.
trying to explain.
Dipshit. I can't go to space and double check them. Do you understand? Do you get
that's
that?
what we're trying to explain. You can't cite the thing you're explaining, right?
What are you talking about? How are we? So what evidence would you accept? Nothing. That's the thing. You already believe it.
something.
No, you wouldn't.
Something.
No, you wouldn't. Everything that's in space, you could just say, well, you don't understand. You don't get how they do it. They're actually really smart engineers, and
Well-
you're just some idiot.
Well, that much is true.
Exactly.
So you can hear both Jaren's argument and the way that he treats Brenda and just how desperate he is. And I emailed him. I called him out on this. I'm like, you need to apologize to Brenda. You know, as much as, you know, you guys make fun of me and maybe I kind of, you know, make fun of you guys as well. I don't ever get into this abusive language. And, you know, Jaren called me out as being a liar, you know, and he's demanding an apology to Paul on the plane because basically I'm just exposing Paul on the plane for all the stuff he says about Himawari. But I was never abusive to Paul on the plane. But this is just over the top. I mean, Santos Bonacci is the worst, but still, this is inexcusable, especially from someone who's like lecturing me on, you know, lying and all these type of things that he's claiming that I'm doing. I'm going to keep pressuring because, you know, he is one of the leaders of this flat earth movement, and his behavior with Brenda was despicable. And again, they're just very desperate right now. So let's kind of get right into the point here. So here's on the NASA website, and I'm going to put a link below this video so you can see this for yourself. So what Jaren is talking about here, you're going to see at 7:58 to 7:59, it's going to look like it just disappears. Boom, there it goes. But now you can still see the moon here, and I'm not even sure if Saturn's here anymore. But now here's the thing, and Jaren on his show last night, he was like spending like almost an hour just going through this frame by frame, doing all this photo forensic stuff. I mean, this is just an exposure thing. I mean, he's frantically looking for some evidence that Artemis is fake, and he just can't find it. So he's grasping for straws, and And I'm not going to go through other clips that he did because he did this long show last night, and it's clear that he was going through all the different NASA images trying to find, and he even kind of admitted he wasn't finding any inconsistencies. This was the one that really he thought was a smoking gun. But he even said, I haven't found any other smoking guns besides this. But is this really a smoking gun here, Jaren? I mean, or is it just exposure that you don't understand, like most flat earthers? So when we get up to 11 here, it becomes really obvious. So here you can see the moon and Saturn, so it kind of gets a little more into view here. Now, if you take the time and go frame by frame, you're going to see up here, okay? This is, let's go back here. Okay, so here you can see, kind of keep this in mind here, this image, and you're going to see the silhouettes of these appearing as we get to like around 11. Okay, so it's kind of disappeared. But now, even here, you can kind of see the silhouette of these objects. And if you take some time to go through like I did with, I have this affinity editing tool here, and what you can see when you look at this very carefully, frame by frame, as it's coming in around 11, is you're going to see kind of these little shadows here, and they start off getting very faint, but then they become more and more defined as it comes into exposure. And Brenda was being honest. She says, I don't know, but there's probably an explanation for it. And she was going through many plausible explanations. Where Jaren was like, no, this is the way it is. It's fake. And he wasn't open to another suggestion. He wasn't open to another explanation. And this is why I wanted to play that interview, not just because Jaren abused Brenda, but his attitude that he was absolutely right, that this proves that Artemis is fake. Where Brenda was like, well, I haven't seen evidence that really is strong enough to draw that conclusion. In fact, on the contrary, we have a mountain of evidence that Artemis is real. Thousands of people watched that rocket launch. Like Astronomy Live and Reds Rhetoric were two people that were there. Many people that were, into astronomy, like Astronomy Live, were able to track the Artemis as it came back around right before it took the translunar injection burn going to the moon. And then Astronomy Live continued to track it to the moon. And he tracked it almost the whole way. And so getting back to this here, it's the reason I'm coming into here is just so you can see side by side these really faint silhouettes and how they do match these objects here of the Artemis Orion spacecraft. Okay, so coming back to the NASA website, if you go through this frame by frame coming up to around 11, you're going to already see the faint silhouettes in the background. And it's a very gradual, okay, so we're coming out of darkness now. Again, just the exposure, where there's enough light for the aperture, because we'll talk about exposure here in a second. But as soon as it comes back in here, you can already see the silhouettes of you see what I'm saying? You can see the silhouettes here already. And if you just kind of go through this and just follow it through, I'm going to put a link to this page below so you can see this for yourself. It's very obviously clear that this is all exposure. So Jaren's smoking gun is desperation. He's just looking for something that's not there. And it's both humorous and it's sad, seeing somebody so desperate and just seeing their worldview crumble right before them with Artemis and all that's going on. This year is a bad year for flat earthers. Just overwhelming evidence keeps pouring in that we live on a globe. And Artemis is a fatal blow, and they are desperate, and it shows. If you're on the fence and you're watching some of these flat earth people like Jeranism or Dearth or Whitsitt or Mark Sargent or Eric Dubay, you're going to hear desperation in their voices. But again, their worldview is crumbling around them. Artemis is like a fatal blow. We're going back to space again. And, space is real and Artemis is real. And all these images from Artemis are real. So based on what we just saw, it's definitely exposure that's going on. And Jaren thinks he has a smoking gun. He just doesn't understand exposure. So I welcome Jaren to look at this link here. There's a really good article by the Planetary Society on why there's no stars in most space images. And it really addresses some of these exposure issues. And I just wanted to highlight a few things, but I'm going to put a link below this video so you can read this article yourself. So let's read this here. Most space cameras actually can't adjust their aperture in the way that we're used to here on Earth. Instead, scientists predict the light levels that a camera will encounter through its mission, like the Artemis 1 mission, and design their instruments to have an aperture that's an appropriate size for the range of targets they expect to encounter. And this can be a challenge, for these spacecrafts because they encounter a wide range of target brightnesses. Okay, this is the key. This is what Jaren was witnessing, and I've been following the Artemis, and I've seen a lot of footage where like the Earth is really, really, really bright, then all of a sudden it comes into focus. Or things are really, really dark, and then they come out of the darkness into the light. And it's because there's a lot of complex things going on. You have Artemis, Orion going in these complex orbits. You have the moon going around the Earth. You have the sun coming in from different angles. And you have the Orion spacecraft. That's kind of, it's not like spinning out of control or anything like that, but it does kind of shift its position. And you've got these big solar panels. It's kind of like when you take a picture of somebody against a really brightly lit window, that they appear as a dark silhouette. So that is, there's good analogies that you can draw. So something's going on there with exposure. So, and then again, what I was explaining about the exposure, this is another big objection from flat earthers on the Apollo missions. Why aren't there no stars? Again, they don't understand exposure. The Apollo astronauts' photos were exposed for the brightly sunlit lunar surface and white spacesuits. These exposures were too short to detect stars in the sky. And here you can see another example of, when you have the exposure set for 75 milliseconds versus 4. So this is just exposure. Again, please, flat earthers, Jeran, please read this article. Please understand what exposure is, because it explains what you're seeing. And again, in space, they have to calibrate these cameras to get a happy medium where things are not too bright or not too dark. Because again, they're trying to get images of the Earth and the moon. They're not trying to get images of stars out there. And again, here's the image of the side by side, and you can see, again, look at the comparative size here. Again, obviously, and this is what Brenda was saying to Jaren. It's not the same thing, Jaren, and Jaren was just abusing her and saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about, and calling her names. But look at the difference in the brightness. Obviously, there's a difference in exposure here. There's a lot more light coming in here than there is here. So I don't see why Jaren thinks this is such a, I kid you not, he thinks this is such a great proof. And I've heard him now explain, not just to Brenda, but on his live stream last night, he went on and on for like an hour about this. And again, funny thing is he went through many other NASA photos, and I want to show you one more clip, and it just kind of shows the desperation. And so I'll just let you watch it here.
Yeah, look at that. See the word NASA completely go away?
Wow, bro.
But I looked at it, and you can actually see, if you look here, like go in here, see, you can see the N. I just can't picture it being so bright to wipe out the entire red paint. But again, that's not evidence, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But you can even see here. So if it was a shadow, the shadow doesn't completely turn off the craft. So, the craft is gone in those other views. Right. And if you ran this through air level analysis, actually, kind of don't see anything there, do you? Oh, well, you do see this part here. I don't know. It doesn't look like this. This has like some purple in it. The one that we were looking at is just black. Just black with the little Earth. There's nothing else. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. So much fun going reverse image search on here. You go here, 10i. And here's what, this will prove to you why NASA gets away with what they do. Oh, it's only 4?
I was watching, it was just kind of humorous because not only did the air level analysis show that it was a real image, if you know a little bit of air level analysis, you'll know that it was very consistent. So once again, Jaren's proving that this is real, and he wasn't finding what he was looking for at the air level analysis, just the opposite actually, which is why you saw his surprise there. He was expecting to see something differently. And then with this reverse image search thing, he was expecting to see hundreds of listings because he just thinks that NASA gets these images out ahead of time, but he only found 4 results instead of, he was expecting a lot more. So it's kind of sad, you know, I mean, to me it's sad that people believe this, and to see somebody that's so desperately looking for evidence. I mean, I've seen a lot of flat earthers object to Artemis, but I have not seen anybody as desperate as Jeran to find something that could show that Artemis is fake. And he's just not getting it. This is why he was so frustrated with Brenda, because even he knows that this smoking gun that he has is weak. In fact, it's so weak that anybody with a little bit of camera knowledge of exposures understands what's going on there. Maybe we don't know exactly the angles and the sunlight and what's happening, but it's clearly exposure. So this is why I call in this video Jaren Exposed, because it exposes his desperation, it exposes his dark side and how abusive he was to Brenda, and it exposes the whole flat earth, that Artemis is real, space is real, and they have nothing. They think they have something, but whenever I ask a flat earther, well, where's your evidence that Artemis is fake? I mean, they just got nothing. Oh, it's CGI, or no, it can't possibly be, just incredulity. I mean, Brenda's right. It is just incredulity with them. They have no evidence. The same thing with Himawari, with Jeran. They, you know, I keep debunking them, and they just don't have an answer. So anyway, well, that's really all I have. The only last thing of course, Jeran already, I just realized Jeran already did it for me. But I did put this image through error level analysis, and it came out clean. And again, I've gone through this one. This is another one in the past that was floating around. I think this one got so heavily debunked that nobody's using it anymore. And this is why what we're doing to expose flat Earth works, because you can see they just stop using their nonsense when it gets exposed. I mean, literally exposed. In this case, it's a double meaning. But do play around with it. I mean, if you are skeptical, I mean, anybody on the fence that might have seen Jaren talk about this, just go through this and go up to especially around 11 here, minutes in, and slowly go through frame by frame, and you're going to see it come into focus. I mean, it's just clear as day that this is just exposure. Thanks for watching, and do like this video. Leave some comments, again, especially people out there that have a photography background. And do subscribe to my channel. I have many more videos coming. And Artemis is splashing down today, 12:40 p.m. So my next video, I'm going to be going through kind of a summary of the whole Artemis mission and all the evidence that I've collected wrapped into one video, and some new stuff too that I haven't shared yet. So stay tuned for that. Have a good night.